Okay, I think we are live. Hey there, everybody. It's Mandy and Karis and Lindsay here today. She's here joining us on the Purposeful Woman. I am kind of in an odd spot today. Got a lot of stuff hooked up to me, but everything is good. The doctors are taking lots of care of me. But we didn't want to stop this because God's moving in some major ways. And so we just wanted to keep this going and keep it alive. So I would like to join or ask you to join us in the Purposeful Woman group. We will put the link at the bottom in the comments, and Karis is also, she's sharing it over there. So feel free to share this to any of your friends or family or anything. And we just want to tell you, thank you for being here. I am going to be here this whole time, but I'm going to let Karis and Lindsay take it away today since I'm hooked up to all kinds of stuff. But just know everything is good. I've got a great panel of doctors. They're doing great, and we've got high hopes here. So yes. Y'all take it away, ladies.
Awesome. Well, Mandy, we are glad that you are feeling better. And I know that everybody who is on the podcast with us today are joining us in prayer. And we are believing that God is going to take care of you and just help the doctors to continue to get you what you need to get you better. So just know that we love you and we're here for you. And you do whatever you need to do in that hospital bed. So we got this. So, but we are very excited to come to you guys today. We know that this topic that we're talking about, divorce, is one that is hard to talk about for some, and it's one that needs to be talked about. And so, Lindsay, thank you for being a part of this and saying yes to these women who need to hear from somebody else who has gone through what they have been through, but you come out on the other side and you've overcome. So we are so glad that you are here, Lindsay. And I'm just going to invite you right now to just kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself. And then we'll just kind of go from there.
Okay. Hey, everyone. It's so great to be here. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to talk. Not as excited as about the topic, but found out on the last podcast that this is what I'm going to be talking about. So let's give it a shot. Guess that was y'all's way of telling me that's fine. I am, let's see about myself. Okay. So I have remarried. I am on my second marriage. I have been remarried for almost 7 years. I have 3 kids, 17, Bo is 17 and Sydney is 15 and Caroline is 10. Caroline is mine from my first marriage and the other 2 are my step kids, but by God's grace, we blended really well, and we don't use step anymore really, unless we're just clarifying for somebody who doesn't know us that well. So I just call them all mine and treat them all like mine. And I really don't know how else to do it. So I'm really glad that worked. Yes. Before this, I was married for 8 years. And was really, there was a very short period of time between my 2 marriages, really. I graduated from Samford University in 2001, and I'm a life coach, a blogger, and a speaker. And that's it. That reminded me, I'm supposed to give a shout out to Center Grove Pres in Edwardsville, Illinois. They had me out there speaking a couple weeks ago, and I told them, I said, y'all got to watch the podcast. So I'm going to say, hey, so you should have a bunch of new people today.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have them. And thanks for giving everybody a little bit of your background right now. And so I guess where we'll start, Lindsay, is just kind of your story. Just kind of share with everybody, you know, your story, your God story that he's given you through this part of your journey in your life.
Okay. Well, at first I just want to, I'm going to try to be super, super careful. I want to be respectful of, my ex-husband, and we've maintained a really, productive, good relationship for our daughter. And I definitely am going to try really hard, to not embarrass him or say anything he wouldn't want the whole internet to know.
Right.
We're kind of putting him out there. Hey, Chris, sorry. So I got married in the middle of my senior year of college. So I spent my last semester as a senior married, and my first husband was a year older than I was. He was already graduated, and both went to Stanford. Love it, love it, love it. And then we moved around a little bit. We ended up back in Ocala, Florida, where he and I are both from, and our parents were all there. And I was working at First Baptist Church, where his dad was a pastor, and I worked there for 6 years. And with my journalism degree, I don't know, y'all know, whatever. I was writing as much as I could, but that wasn't really in my job description. And we decided we were going to wait a while before we had a baby. So we gave it 5 years, and then we went to Moe's, where we had all of our big life altering discussions at Moe's, and decided we were ready. And so I got pregnant about 4 months later, had a fabulous baby girl. The next December, she jumped the gun. She was supposed to be born in January, but she decided to make her move in the middle of a Christmas party that I was having. And and so after that, 4 months later, I honestly did not think my life could get any better. I didn't. I could not imagine being any happier. And I remember earlier that week, we were doing a Beth Moore Bible study at my house. I've led women's Bible studies forever. And I think it was the study of it had to be the book of John. Beth Moore was saying that the first time Jesus speaks in John chapter 1, the disciples are kind of following him around, and he finally turns around. He says, "What do you want?" Those are his first words in the book of John. First red letters, "What do you want?" So she had us, as part of our homework, write a letter to Jesus telling him what we wanted. And y'all, I had nothing to say, really. I mean, and I even apologize for that. I'm like, Lord, you have blessed me in such insane ways. I found a couple like trivial things I could ask for. And then at the end I said, Lord, I want to love you more. I want to love you more.
Yeah.
More than anything. That's the only thing I could really ask for. Mm-hmm. And within a couple days, I found out that my marriage was in trouble and had been for a while. And, so we began a journey. I was committed. We were going to make it. We were going to be that couple on the other side that comes out stronger, that helps other couples through their problems. And I was just sure of it. The first thing, the next morning, I drove to Barnes & Noble and I bought all the books on how you survive marriage trauma. And I was like, I'm going to read all the books. We're going to go to therapy. Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to get right back to where I was 24 hours ago, which was so ignorantly, blissfully happy. And over the years, I've learned God doesn't go back. We don't go back. We go forward. And I was desperately trying so hard to go back. And so for about a year and a half, we did therapy. We tried. We really tried. And part of the way through, honestly, I kind of stopped praying. I was getting frustrated. I was getting weary. And to be honest, you guys, I didn't want to hear what God was telling me. I was running out of steam, and I was like, he's going to tell me to keep going. He's going to tell me to just keep going. And I don't have it. I don't have it. And so finally I did pray. And I told him, I remember crying on my bedroom floor saying, Lord, I'm so sorry. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you to answer me. I don't want you to tell me to keep going. I can't. I just don't have it. And I felt a great sense of peace. And I felt like he released me from my marriage, which was, heartbreaking, of course. Absolutely. And it took about 6 months, and and we went through the divorce. So I was working at First Baptist Church in Ocala, which was the biggest church and still is the biggest church in town. I am divorcing the pastor's son. I'm also an employee of the church, and everybody knows me because of their family and because of my own ministry there. So it was very public, but I didn't really say why. I didn't think that was anybody's business. And I was trying to, just walk out of there with as much integrity as possible and to protect my husband at the time, his reputation and all of that stuff. So I didn't say much, which opened, the floodgates, as you can imagine, to lots of speculation on, what happened. And most of it was pointed at me. And I was the one who filed. So therefore it was my fault, of course. And I got a lot of unsolicited advice, as you can imagine.
Don't we always?
Yeah, we do. And people meant well, and I know they were, but I couldn't do it. I had one friend who had been through it a few years before me. She said, Lindsay, at some point you just got to put on your blinders and just go, and just get to the other side. And I had some really close friends that really helped me a lot through it. My Bible study girls had been in the dark that whole time that our marriage was in trouble because I didn't want to embarrass anybody. I knew we were going to make it. I knew it was going to be fine. So I didn't tell anybody. And so when I told them we were separating and getting divorced, they were the most shell-shocked people because they told me right up until I told them, like, oh my gosh, I just wish I had your marriage. And inside I was going, no, you don't. No, you don't. And so when I finally told them, first, they were really mad. They were really mad that I didn't let them support me. And looking back, I really wish I had included and allowed more people to support me. But I did get through it, and I'm thankful to say he has remarried. I have remarried. We work very well together. And that is the biggest blessing I could ever imagine. I've seen couples who don't have that and who have been divorced for years and are still fighting and hating and holding on to unforgiveness. And it is absolute torture to both of them and the kids, especially the kids. And so I'm just really thankful that he and I have been able to do that.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, really, and part of your story, how God has allowed you and your ex-husband to have that relationship. And I guess I'll start there with a question that some have had is, how do I forgive in that situation so that we can have that good communication with each other, that good relationship with each other, in spite of everything that's happened? How do I forgive? That's one of the questions that we got from some of our ladies.
Yeah.
That is huge. That's it. That's everything. Let me see how I answer that. How do you forgive? That's very hard. It was
God more than anything, I'm sure.
yeah. Of course, every time I answer a question or anything like that, y'all, please know I'm only speaking from my own experience.
Right.
Every situation is so different, and I would never presume to try to tell anyone this is how you need to do it, because that's what everybody was doing to me. And so more than anything, I'm just kind of offering myself as here's my experience. If you need to email me later, we need to talk about yours, please do, kind of thing. But for me, and this was part of me being I meant well. The story of my life. Let's just put it on my tombstone. I mean well. I meant really well, but my response was not a healthy one. And I remember looking him in the face and saying, I forgive you. Within minutes, I said, I forgive you right now. Right now, it's done. I'm going to forgive you right now, and we are going to move forward, and we are going to make it. And so it was a decision, and it was words. It was words that I was going to wait for my feelings to catch up with. And that's something that's worked really well for me in the past, but I don't think I knew what I was saying. But I taught a coaching class over the summer about divorce to women who are getting divorced. And we talked about what forgiveness is. And we talked about releasing it and giving it back to God and saying, Lord, you have to carry this. It's too much. It's too much. And, all the medical studies that go along with the need for forgiveness. And so I remember asking my coaching class, I said, what is forgiveness? They all gave me different definitions. And I said, okay, what is forgiveness not? And one of the girls, before I even finished my sentence, said, staying together. And I said, say that one more time. And she goes, forgiveness is not necessarily staying together. I said, I agree 100%. You can absolutely forgive. And people would say that, why can't you just forgive? Why can't you just forgive? I said, oh, I did. But that doesn't mean stay married. Like, it certainly can, and it certainly has. And I've seen those stories and I've seen it work out. But you can forgive and still move forward with a divorce. And I think I still do have to forgive. It's something that I will probably do the rest of my life because of the way it does affect you the rest of your life in ways you don't expect. You see how it gets on your kids and all that stuff. And so sometimes I do have to go back and say, nope, we forgave this. We're not doing that. We've moved on. I'm terrible at staying mad. I'm terrible at holding grudges. I'm just a very emotionally lazy person. I don't have it. I don't have the energy. People are like, oh, you're so sweet. I'm like, no, I'm lazy. I don't have it. So the quicker I could release that, the better. But it is a process and it's a decision. And
that's with
very hard.
I was about to say, yeah. I think for anything that needs forgiveness, overcoming, I think you do it every day. You may do it every hour of the day some days.
Sure. Absolutely.
So I can totally see where you're coming from with that for sure.
Yeah. And it's something I've told my kids, all three of them, that when a couple gets divorced, it is absolutely never 100% one person's fault.
Right.
It could be 50-50, it could be 90-10, it could be 99-1, but it is always there are always two sides of a story. There is stuff that I need my ex to forgive me for. And I would never, try to say it was all his fault and that's easy. It's easy to grab onto that or try to call dibs on the victim card or whatever, but it is absolutely never. And that's something that we all need to keep in mind when we hear of our friends or family members getting divorced. There are two very, very legitimate sides, and both people need to forgive and be forgiven.
Right. That's good. That's good.
There's two sides to every story.
Always.
Anyway, always.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of, for sure.
Yeah. As I was listening to you share your story, Lindsay, I heard you talking about how people wished that you would have let them in earlier to support you. And one of the questions that we got from a few other ladies was, how do I get through this time? And so just hearing you say support, I can hear you saying that helped you a lot. So how did that support help you? And what were some other things that helped you get through that time of your life?
The support was critical. I had, everybody has their inner circle, and there were like two or three of my friends who were, I call them the 3 a.m. friends, the ones that you can call them at 3 a.m. They can call you, they can show up at your house uninvited. It's just those people, and those people were critical. And a couple of them did have to come over in the middle of the night a couple times. One of them brought Jim Beam, and anyway, that can't hurt. So, I'm Presbyterian, I can say that now. So their support was huge. I remember sitting in front of my Bible study girls for the first time since we had separated, and asking their forgiveness, number one, for not being authentic and shooting them straight, but trying to explain why, asking their forgiveness, and then basically holding up my hands going, y'all, I think I'm disqualified. Like you can keep using my house, I can keep pushing play on the, DVD player, but I don't know if I can lead. I don't know. And a lot of churches and Christian organizations have really strong feelings about divorced people in leadership. And I totally understand those reasonings. And I was really offering them the opportunity to, kind of cut me loose from leadership there. And after I finished talking and, all 20 of us were crying, my fabulous redheaded friend from North Carolina said, Lindsay, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Absolutely not. So I kept leading and the group grew. There were probably 10 of us when I first moved into that house. And by the time I moved to Orlando, we had 22 women squished into that room. And I was like, Lord, why would you do this to me? Why would you give me the biggest group of women to lead when I've got nothing? And he's like, Pumpkin, you just answered your own question. You've got nothing. This is all me now. This is all me. You are out of my way. Let me drive.
Yeah.
I was more than happy to, because I sure as heck couldn't. The best way to be there. Go ahead.
I know. I think I find myself recently there all the time.
You're in a hospital bed, for heaven's sake.
Exactly. I mean, this is all I've got is God at this point. Absolutely. No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
No, I know that you guys get it. The best way that I would suggest, and again, every personality type is different. For me, I loved when my friends showed up uninvited. And it went beyond, let me know if you need anything, because you know what? A lot of times when you're in crisis, you cannot ask. You don't have it. That puts the burden back on the person in crisis. So you have to be the initiator. You have to show up. You have to get a little obnoxious with your love and a little pushy, because chances are that person can't ask for what they need, or maybe they don't even know. I remember that same friend calling me one night. It was a Thursday night. Caroline was in bed. She was just a toddler. And it was a Thursday night and it was coming up on 9 o'clock. And my friend called me and she said, hey, love, I'm on my way over. Preheat the oven to 350. And I said, what? No. I'm tired. I had a hard day. I don't want to do anything. I feel terrible. I think I'm just going to go lie down. No, Grey's Anatomy is on and I'm going to be there in 5 minutes and I'm bringing treats. So preheat the oven 350. Okay, bye. And then she hung up, and within 2 minutes, she was at my house with, Pillsbury cinnamon rolls. And we sat there and watched Grey's Anatomy. I told her to go home 3 times and she didn't listen. And I'm so glad she didn't, y'all. I'm so glad she didn't. So you kind of have to, your friends, and some people really need to grieve in private. And I did plenty of that, but I also needed to know that I wasn't alone. Right. And so even if you can't understand because you haven't been through it, you can just be there. I remember, in the book of Job, the whole first week that his life fell apart and his friends showed up, they didn't say a word. And they didn't get in trouble until they started talking. And they got in so much trouble that Job had to pray for them at the end, asking God to forgive them because they made such fools of themselves. But when you offer, advice or the platitudes or everything happens for a reason or God's got this, y'all, that's so true. Right. That's so true. I'm not going to say it's not true, but it's just not helpful. It's better to let somebody grieve and to just listen and just keep saying over and over, what do you need from me? Do you want to come over to dinner at my house tomorrow night? Do you want me to keep Caroline so you can go get a massage? Just push in to their lives.
Right.
That's what I would say.
And what I'm hearing you say also is that to be there for those who may be going through that, it's okay to be there and be quiet.
Absolutely. And hugging, sometimes I just needed a hug. I just needed to physically lean on somebody's shoulder while I cried. Right. And yes, you absolutely do not have to have any answers. And it's probably better that you don't, because if you haven't been through it, you just can't know. You just can't.
Yeah. One last question that we have, and I know this one, and again, thank you for sharing from your heart and from your situation and letting everybody know. You're saying, this may not be exactly how it goes for everybody, but this is what were the things that were best for you. But one of the last questions that we had is God mad at me because I'm divorced, and is he gonna still use me?
Whew. That is definitely a huge question that I get, that I asked. And my knee-jerk reaction to, is God mad at me? And I would say this for just about any situation, is no.
Right.
I know that there are parts of the Bible where God's wrath does come through, and he does bring his judgment down on individuals. But in my experience, he uses conviction and the power of the Holy Spirit to convict. But I don't think he's been mad at me.
Right.
I think I've been mad at him for sure. And he knows it. And we have talked about it a lot. But I don't think he's mad at you. I don't think he's mad at you. I think he wants, more than anything, kind of like you do with your friends, when you start going through something, you want to pull away. And especially if you're not sure if it's right or not, you want to pull away from God. You want to hide. You can't do it. You can't do it. Ask King David in the Psalms. He tried to hide. There was no place he could go. God is right there with you. Please let him be there for you. Even more importantly than letting people is to just lean into him and let him use this. And I remember when the three of us were hanging out at Disney a few weeks ago, and I was telling y'all, I was like, I really wanted to be someone that God could use to help people get through this. And I just knew that was going to be it. And Mandy jumped in and said, but you are. It's just not the way you thought. It's not the way you thought. And I was like, wow, I never even thought about it that way. I thought, that was a ministry that I gave up because we didn't make it, but you can still minister to people when, honestly, and this is a hard thing to say, and I don't say it in a cavalier way. I know exactly what I'm saying. And it's a very hard thing to say and hear, is you minister to people better after you've been through it, whatever it is.
Right.
That is, you have this different level of compassion. You have a greater understanding of God's love that you can share. You minister better on the other side of the fire. Right. And I believe that, because there are people who tried to comfort me that I'm like, oh, you're so cute. You have no idea. And then there were people who comforted me that had been through it, not even divorce necessarily, but had been through something that could offer me comfort. And I believed them. I believed them. It went right in, because I'm like, oh, they're speaking from experience. They know exactly what they're talking about. So yes, God absolutely wants to use you, wants to use this story. Absolutely. He's not mad at you. If you need to ask his forgiveness for your part, and you probably do, and I definitely did and probably still do, please do that. But do not break relationship with God. Do not break it. Like, just hold on to that. It's so hard. It feels so awkward because you feel like you're doing everything in the world wrong, but he has not left you, and he is not mad at you. He wants you to stay as close as you can. So fight for that.
Right. And as I hear you talk, and just talking about how, he uses our mess, our broken places. And I know that it's even true for my life, just through just the battles of depression and anxiety and other things that I've had. It's like he tells us, when we're weak, then he can be strong. But as I hear you talk, I hear his love in your voice, his love for the broken, right? His love for those who are hurting. And I hear you, as you're saying, no, he's not mad at you. I hear his love penetrating your heart and reminding you and me of that, but reminding everyone else out there too, that he's not mad at you. In fact, he still loves you greatly, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In Romans, it says there's absolutely nothing that can separate you from the love of God. You can distance yourself, but dadgum, girl, please don't. Please don't.
Yeah. He does. He loves us. I think about Adam and Eve, when they sinned, God was there immediately looking for them, still pursuing them. And he's still pursuing us, even when we make, even when we make choices that we should make or things happen in our life, he's always there. He's always there. So I was looking through, you've answered all of the questions that the ladies had from our group, but is there anything just kind of burning in your heart that you want to leave and encourage everyone with today?
I think one of the things that caught me off guard the most, and this is for people who are getting divorced or for people who are friends with people getting divorced, there's, I don't know if there's a name for it. I named it, I named it post-divorce brain damage.
Right.
And I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me losing my mind and doing things that were so uncharacteristic of the me that I've always been. I could not, I mean, I look back on that period now and go, who the heck was that girl? I hope I never see her again. Like,
yeah.
So I thought it was just me. And then the more I talked to people going through divorce, the more I realized, oh my gosh, this is a thing. And then I helped lead a divorce support group at our church. And there were quotes from these researchers talking about, your moral failure and conscience failure during a divorce or right after a divorce. And you might end up doing stuff that you would never have dreamed. And I sure did. I was completely living a double life. I remember leaving Bible study, and as soon as the girls left, I would go out and go do unspeakable things. Right after Bible study, I was a mom. I was a Bible study leader. I was, it was absolutely ridiculous, the stuff that I was capable of. And I think it was a great picture of what it looks like to try to heal without God. You just are desperate. So if you're watching a friend go through this, I remember a couple years ago, I had a friend going through it, and I told her, I said, I'm going to give you 4 months. I'm going to give you 4 months to be a moron. Do not get pregnant. Do not get an STD. Do not get a tattoo. Nothing with permanent damage. And then after 4 months, I'm going to say, that's it. That's it. And I'm going to be accountability, and I'm going to get all up in your grill, and we're going to say, no, we're going back to God now. That's it. And my husband now, who's also divorced, gave me a hard time. And he's like, don't condone that. Don't condone that. And I was like, don't you give me that. You did it too. So I just feel like it's almost a necessary part of the grieving process to just be really stupid. I wish it wasn't. But for the friends of those watching, be patient, be the designated driver. Keep pointing your friends back to Jesus. Keep reminding them of who they are, and they are going to bottom out, and it's going to be bad. And you need to be there just shoving Jesus in their face when that happens. So be patient. If they go through a phase where they're not making sense, they're not being who you know they are, just be that steady presence. They're probably going to pull away from you because, when you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, you pull away from people who tell you the truth. And you pull away from God. Just keep pursuing, and keep pressing in. And when they hit bottom and they call you at 3 a.m., get over there and get on your knees with them and just try to draw them back to God every chance you get.
Right. Awesome. Well, Lindsey, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this. And we can put your email and your information in the bottom of where the comments are. But if anybody wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
You can just go to my website. It's lindsaystaton.com. And I've actually written a number of blogs about divorce. You can click on that category and, read some of the stuff I've written. And also my email address is on my website as well. So head over to my website, bounce around. I shoot pretty straight. And so
I look forward
preemptively apologize for anything that might be a little too real.
Blogs every Friday. Whenever I start scrolling through Facebook, I'm like, "Ooh, Lindsay's got a blog," and so I look forward to it every Friday. So,
oh, you're sweet.
Yes, y'all will definitely enjoy what she has to say on there, and we do appreciate you coming on because I know this is a topic that a lot of people just don't know how to deal with it, especially with friends or family or even themselves. And so I think you helped way more than what you know. So, yeah. We
Yeah,
really,
and if anybody out there wants to kick it around, please email me. I know if you don't have anybody around you who knows how it feels, please email me. I'd love to chat.
yes, absolutely. And she's an awesome person. We've become friends with her now because she's just an amazing person. She actually came to Disney and saw us, and Disney is not her cup of tea.
Oh my gosh, y'all. I live in Orlando and I'm so scared of Disney. I don't know.
I don't know what's
I
wrong with
love the movies. I could sing every song and quote everyone right now, but going to Disney World scares me, y'all. I don't know.
We're so gonna convert you.
We'll break you from that. Okay.
It probably wouldn't take much.
Because every time me and Karis come, we're gonna be calling you, going, okay, so what are we doing today? I will tell you what we're doing. We're going to the Magic Kingdom.
Oh Lord, help me.
But yes, thank you so much, and we love you. Thanks for being here, and and for everybody watching and listening. Thank you for being here as always. I know this is a weird spot for me to be in with this, but we wanted to show y'all that the show must go on, and not just because of vain reasons, but because of God. And I do believe that He is doing some big things with the Purposeful Woman. And I mean, we can't stop that.
Yeah.
We can't let the enemy get us down. So here we are, IVs in the arm, all kinds of stuff. We are here. So I guess I challenge y'all in some ways to do something this week that gets you out of your box, for one thing. And that goes along with what God is calling you to do, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Because, guys, I mean, y'all know that it is uncomfortable sometimes to spread the light, because you're just like Jesus. He got spat on, because he was shining the light. And this is very uncomfortable for me because I don't feel good. But I do know that God is doing something so huge, and I can't say no to that. So don't say no this week. Keep moving, keep pushing, keep fighting, and be that purposeful woman, for sure.
Keep praying for Mandy.
Yes.
You got to keep us updated, girl.
Yes, I definitely will. Thank y'all, and we will see y'all next week at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Bye, guys.
Bye.